My practicum presentation, I did a coaching portfolio. I chose this because I wanted to use this not only for this class, but for the future as well. I enjoy coaching, so I wanted to do something that wouldn't be, a burden or a pain. It would just kind of flow, and it's really not work because I have to do this anyway. So, yeah. And then I really wanted to focus on becoming a better coach. I think this really let me focus and really break down on where I'm not good at and where I'm good at, and kind of put that into perspective and visualize it. So that's why I chose that. I did an updated resume and cover letter. Speaking of using that in the future, I'm going to actually I used that cover letter to do my admissions counseling interview today, actually. So, yeah, so that's already coming in handy. I put it online in a LinkedIn portfolio, portfolio, I guess. I put those on there. I also have, my hard letters, so I can just get straight into the interview, I guess. I created a team policy, which I did it in a memorandum form, and for my Scobie Legion team that I am the head coach for, I kind of just put in, an athletic code of conduct going over each player's responsibilities and what they're supposed to do, outside of practice and on the team trips. They have specific rules on what they're supposed to do for practices. Like each player has specific jobs. Like pitchers have to take care of the mounds, outfielders have to take care of the warning track, infielders have to rake the infield. Stuff like that. And then a random drug policy or drug testing policy, stuff like that. Attendance is mandatory for our practices. So we just kind of have to highlight that, because if you don't, every kid will say, well, that wasn't in the rules, And then fundraising requirements, we had to have each kid raise $300 just to participate, because, you have to pay the bills for travel expenses, uniforms, and stuff like that. And then academic requirements. Legion doesn't require that, but I do. That's my personal belief, that each kid should at least have a 2.0. So I make that mandatory on my team. And then community service and volunteer requirements. I make each kid required to have 15 hours of community service. That's just, we have to give back because the community gives back so much to us. I mean, we get so many donations and stuff like that for our Legion team. So I just want to give back a little something. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be anything from, working the Little League games that we have and, whatnot, helping a farmer mow his yard or something like that, in little Scobie. So yeah, and then we have some coaching. I just put in there coaching staff open door policy, where they can, come in and talk to us at any point. So I just want them to let them know that that's what we do here. And then I made a coaching philosophy. My coaching philosophy and where I kind of go is growth. Growth both on and off the field. I as much as winning matters to me and getting better as baseball players, growing as young men, husbands, brothers, sons, that's what really matters to me. So I'm just trying to make an impact on those kids' lives, not just on the baseball field, but off of it as well. And then professionalism. To me, you can be the worst coach in the world as far as, X's and O's and stuff like that. But if you're a professional, we can, get better at those X's and O's and things like that, just with experience. But it's that professionalism that really sets us apart, makes us, a valuable member in the workplace. So. And then I also made a throwing program. This isn't just a generic, throwing program, which everybody has. I did this specifically for DWU in the fact that we have bad weather, so we have to practice inside a lot. So I did it based on, inside limited space restrictions. So it's about 8 or 9 pages or something like that. So I did it. It's worked in the past. I've kind of grown with used other throwing programs just to steal ideas and stuff from that. So yeah. And then my recruiting and retention plan. So with COVID this year, I learned recruiting can be a little more tricky. So we weren't able to do a lot of face-to-face recruiting, especially early on in the spring. So I had to use other resources like field level and stuff like that, a lot of online tools and really email and phone call kids, which made me realize how much better getting relationships are, how important they are with, always being in contact with the phone and stuff like that, which made me a better recruiter. But it was still missing that face-to-face, meeting and really getting to know kids and seeing how they interact with other individuals and their coaches and stuff like that. But my retention plan is really based on the kids we recruit, especially at a place like Dakota Wesleyan, where maybe it isn't for everyone, but so we want those kids to stay. So we have to really recruit the type of individuals that we want on our team and that will fit in with our team. And like I said, make the kids a priority and see them as individuals. They're not just another player, another student. We really want to, grow with them and have a relationship with them, not crossing any professional boundaries or anything like that, but still seeing them as individuals. And then I talked to a lot of other coaches to see how players, are not just, I don't want to just talk to the players because, they can sell you and you can really misread a player just by the 15, 20 minutes that you get to talk to them. So I really want to talk to coaches and other coaches as well. And I felt like that was a really good thing. And then, like I said, just keeping in contact with them, reaching out every 3 or 4 days, really just becoming a friend to them, but still their coach. Fundraising, we already do a lot of fundraising at DWU, especially us baseball guys, just because we don't have, we're not like a money sport because we don't charge at the gate. So we have to fundraise more than, basketball or football or something like that. So I didn't really come up with new ideas. I just wanted to build off of fundraising we already have. Last year we sold Packers Vikings tickets. So instead of just raffling one item off, I wanted to raffle off more than just that. Came up with the Under Armour store. We could raffle off that. I wanted to gas tickets. We already have some sponsors from gas. Everybody you could use gas. So stuff like just simple stuff like that we could build off of just more than one thing, and we can reach a bigger crowd, I guess, than just the football guys. So yeah, and I just learned how much baseball needs fundraising, and I also learned the rules that you can't just always go out and just say, well, I'm going to fundraise this, because we already have contracts or whatever with other organizations. So I learned a lot about of that stuff. So I made a player evaluation, which how I did it, I wanted to give them an evaluation. It's the same thing, but it's us filling out the evaluation and then them taking an evaluation and filling it out, and then they bring their evaluation, and we can see where we kind of have differences and the same ideas. It was on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being unusable and then 5 being all GPAC player. And it's just going over stuff like offense, base running, defense, stuff like that. And then it breaks down, contact, barrel control, discipline in the strike zone, stuff like that. And yeah, we just wanted to see where the players thought they were and then where we think they are too. So, and then we kind of just give feedback in their player evaluation. So, and then my experience, I had it was a pretty crazy one with the whole COVID thing. So, yeah, my first year, I felt like, a lot of it was just learning the GA role and just kind of figuring stuff out. And then in the second year, it's just kind of like just go and do it. So I've just kind of grown in that regard. And then I learned how important communication was. I mean, not only with the players, but the coaches, the teachers, um, parents. I never realized that coming from I coached at a JUCO before this, so and that was a big eye opener from that level. I mean, JUCO is kind of just a helter skelter. There's not as much going on with classes and teachers and stuff like that. So and 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 the NAIA is just a whole nother level with all that stuff. And then lastly, networking. How important networking is with other coaches and building relationships there, because you never know if you might need a job. Recruit a player and stuff like that, talk about a player. So I realized how important networking is with other coaches. So, and that's the end of my presentation.
All right, thank you, Josh. I'm gonna take back the screen sharing here, see if we can get back to where we need to be. There we go. Okay, so just I'd like to open it up now for any questions for Josh. I've got a few questions, so I'll go ahead and start, and then we will move on from there. And if you guys have questions, that would be wonderful. So I guess, Josh, one of the first questions I had was, you had mentioned when you're recruiting your players, you're looking for players to be a good fit for Dakota Wesleyan, because Dakota Wesleyan, isn't going to be a good fit necessarily for every player. So what are some of those characteristics that you're looking for in your players?
Some of those characteristics are just, quality young men, that already get it. We don't have to worry about them in the classroom. Just somebody that, honest players, get along with teammates, get along with coaches, don't really give us a bunch of, the whining and excuses and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's usually a lot of those types of kids, I mean, come from small towns. It's crazy how different that is. But those are really the types of characteristics we look for kids that we're trying to recruit to Dakota Wesleyan. So
you bet. Awesome. So anyone have any questions for Josh?
No question, but let me know the next time you're selling Packers tickets.
Packers fan. Same here. I was trying to buy them, but I couldn't. So I was trying to get as many as they wanted.
Last year, we wanted to buy the tickets to go to the Packers-Bears game. Didn't work out, but big Packers fan.
Yeah, I hear you. Good, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.
I have a question. Sorry, I came in late. How many students, Josh, do you recruit yearly? How many students do y'all actually bring in?
How many do we bring in? Oh, hundreds. I mean, that's how many we bring in. We signed about 20 something, I think, this year. So we have a roster around 57, I think. I believe that's our number. So it's a lot of kids. I contact over probably 300-400, maybe even 500 kids. We just send out. I mean, sometimes you just send out mass emails just to try to get kids on campus. And a lot of the times, I mean, kids aren't going to always respond and stuff like that, but we talk to a lot of kids. So.
And are they from the South Dakota area, or is it just all scattered around?
Most of our team is made up of South Dakota kids, just because it is so hard to get somebody to come to all the way here when they could just go to their schools there. And the expenses and all the other, list of reasons why not. Dakota Wesleyan isn't for everyone, but most of our kids are from South Dakota, but we have kids from all over. We have kids from Texas, Montana, California, I mean, you name it. So.
Okay. I don't have any more questions.
So Josh, out of curiosity, you made the comment that, you're not a moneymaker sport. You don't charge at the gate. So do you have the breakdown? What is it, what does it cost per player basically to play your season? Do you know approximately?
I approximately do not know, just because Johnny keeps all the books and Marlene does too. So, but we have them fundraise quite a bit, because we have to go on an Arizona trip, which, I mean, that's our biggest expense. So, and then you have to think about, bats and equipment and all that other stuff. So, yeah, it's quite a bit. I think every kid has to raise, well, they do the web sponsors, which is, what is it, $600? That's one. And then we have them sell stuff like koozies and then the raffles and you name it. So they're constantly fundraising. So, and I know Johnny likes to keep a large amount of money in his savings, which is smart. So.
Yeah, you bet. So each player has to come up with a $600 web sponsor. Is that right? Plus the other stuff? Okay.
Yep. Which they're currently doing that right now. So.
Okay.
Don't be surprised if they ask you for a web sponsor, any of you guys.
That is a lot. Oh my goodness. When you were talking about the player evaluations, I thought that was so cool that you implemented that, and I really liked the way that you filled it out and they filled it out, and then you came together to have that conversation. So
Yep.
Did you have any conversations that you felt were really difficult to have? Were there any of those really tough subject areas that you had to cover, or did everything go pretty well this year?
For the most part, it went pretty well, but I could see that coming up, just because, athletes are very, prideful and competitive. So, I mean, maybe they see themselves as better than what they are, but our job isn't to, sugarcoat a lot of stuff. We just try to have to, and that comes with recruiting the quality kids, that really just get it and buy into what coaches have to say. So.
You bet. Yeah. All right. Any other questions for Josh? All right. Well, thanks a lot, Josh. I appreciate all the work you put into the portfolio, and I really appreciated the different things that you created, like the team policy for your Legion program, the player evaluation, looking at some of those types of things, and creating policy makes it, because I think you mentioned something about, the students or players will come back and say, well, it wasn't in your handbook. And you do see that a lot. So
Right.
I really appreciate the work that you put into having that be actual policies and written for them to see. That's great. Will you share your PowerPoint with me too, so then I can click on and look at some of your different documents?
Yep, I can do that. I can do that once I go to the office, so I can
Perfect.
share the link. So.
Yep, you bet. Just email that to me. That would be great.
Yep.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And if there's no more questions, I think you're off the hook for right now. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.
Melissa, if that doesn't work, I can give you this packet here too, where you can.
Perfect. Yeah, when I was viewing, when we were seeing the PowerPoint, the links were in the PowerPoint, though. I could see those.
They were?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so we should be good to go.
Okay.
Well, let's see here.